Good Sunday morning. Welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm John Becker. Let's get straight to our guests because they are going to be critical this next week for what happens in Nashville. Why? It's special session time. Senator Richard Briggs, nice to have you back, a Republican with us this morning.
Good morning.
Your fellow Republican, Becky Duncan Massey, is with us as well, longtime lawmaker. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
I'm going to introduce our panel and then we'll get to the conversation. Susan Richardson Williams, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Grandmother.
I'm a new grandmother again.
The most important thing, she's also a Republican, runs her own PR firm. Don Bosch is a Democrat, runs his own law firm.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's get to that special session. I want to show up the 18 things that the governor says are okay to talk about starting tomorrow. Let's see them. It's a long list, and you can see here, tough to see if you're at home, but get out your magnifying glass and you will see those 18 things to talk about. The 18th there is how to pay for them. We're going to talk about some of those things. It doesn't matter if you know them all, but that's just the list. Senator Massey, you have been in charge, in part, of coming up with some of the things to talk about, and you've been talking with fellow lawmakers the last several weeks about what it is you may tackle in this special session. What of those 18 things do you think will come up first and have most importance?
Well, let me back up. I wasn't in charge. The governor pulled together a group of about 18 legislators that met every couple of weeks. So for the last couple of months, we've been sitting down meeting, looking at what can we do to make our communities a little safer. There's no one thing that we're going to be able to do. It's kind of like the opioid problem. It's something we're going to do a little bit during special session, but we will continue to work on that during regular sessions. So the meetings basically looked at what makes sense, what can we do, that what can we pass that makes sense, that the majority of Tennesseans would be supportive of. So that is really where we came from in the lens that we put on it during those meetings. And it was a bipartisan group that met with the governor.
And is there something on that list that you think this not only can pass, but it will have an impact?
Well, I think a number of it will. I mean, looking at the mental health issue, I mean, it's, and when we talk about mental health, we're not talking about all mental health, because 99.9% of everyone that is experiencing mental health issues are not dangerous. But we still need to get them the help they need so that it wouldn't progress into something like that. So I think the mental health piece is extremely important. But I mean, I think everything, the governor came out with 6 or 7 things that are his priorities that are going to be administration bills. And then some of the other things different legislators are working on.
Dr. Briggs, quickly to you, what on that list do you think has a chance? And one thing that's not on that list is a red flag law. That's something that your colleagues thought about picking up, considered, but said no.
If you really look what the governor said he would like us to focus on, I think there's 7 of them altogether. They really are in several categories. 3 of them have to do with mental health issues. 3 of them have to do with law enforcement issues. And just an example of that is when a judge does render a guilty plea or does render a sentence on a felon, is that it will immediately be reported by the court clerk to the TBI so it can be entered on the instant check database, so that felon will not be able to buy a gun. I think that's something that we could all pretty much agree on. I think we could agree that on the mental health issue, that are people that need to have mental health issues. One of the things he's proposed is to make it easier for nurse practitioners and physicians assistants that have specialty training in psychiatric care for them to be able to take care of more patients. And so I think those type of things that we should be able to agree on. And I think Senator Massey is absolutely correct. This is just the start of a long process. We'll probably be in session about a week. Then that'll give us several months before we go back into session in January of 2024. before, to start hammering out maybe some more of the tougher issues. But this is a start.
I want to get to our panel in just a second, but one other question I have. The impetus for this special session was the shooting that happened at the Covenant School in Nashville, where 6 people lost their lives, including 3 9-year-olds. Would anything on this list have prevented that shooting if it was already in effect, Dr. Briggs?
I think that perhaps the young woman that did the shooting at Covenant was under psychiatric care. If our laws say that her health care provider needed to put her on that database within 72 hours, then she may not have been able to buy the weapons that she used.
A mandatory reporting, and that might have been
That's if there had been a finding that just being in psychiatric care alone is not going to be enough to get somebody.
What we have in code now, a duty to report, but it's not real clear and who it goes to, and so there's a couple of two bills that are looking at strengthening that duty to report. I'm actually going to co-sponsor, carry one in the Senate with Representative Zachary, and his is more on, in the psychiatric, psychological field as far as the duty report. Farrell Hill has one, Senator Hill has one that is more expanding it more to other medical professions too. And then, you can, I think on some of them you can have the law enforcement, keep an eye on them, check on them. There's several pathways, but it's not in and of itself automatically putting them on a do not buy list.
And help us understand quickly, because we've got to take a break, but some of that expansion would be for not just specific threats, but also more generalized threats. Is that what I understand? I
think it's more, somebody is threatening to kill themselves or others. They're making credible threats, and the psychiatrist or the psychologist has been working with them. They know if they're serious or not, or if they're just mad at somebody that day. And also they know they have the means. I think they've gotten to know them well enough that they feel like it is a credible.
Awful lot of hurdles.
Let me just add real quickly, this is very much like our laws that we have right now, that all healthcare providers have to report child abuse or suspected child abuse. This law would mimic that.
Okay, we've got to take a quick break. We're going to be back with questions from Don and Susan right here on Inside Tennessee. Back with more.